Okay, so are you ready to dive into something totally different today? We're going to be getting into metatomics, the grand design. And let me tell you, it's a wild ride. This book's got religion, science, history, all mixed up in ways you wouldn't believe. It even says right on the cover, not for everyone.
Yeah, that's kind of your first hint. This isn't your average spirituality book.
Right.
The International Association of Metatomics, they're the group behind it. Seems like they're after folks who are ready to ditch the dogma and, get a little intellectually adventurous.
Totally. Like right for the intro, Metatomics is all about think for yourself, find your own path. It even kind of throws shade at those old school churches saying they're past their prime.
It's kind of refreshing, actually. Instead of laying down the law, it's more like, hey, come on in, let's have a good think. Almost like its own little comparative religion deep dive.
I like that.
It wants you to wrestle with the big questions, not just swallow easy answers.
And trust me, this book's got some big questions. Let's start with the soul, right? They've got this whole concept of the guff, basically.
Yeah.
A treasury of souls, and the way it describes the soul's journey. Super interesting.
So picture the guff like a cosmic wellspring of pure energy. That's where Metatomics says our souls hang out before we take on, a physical body here.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And just like we upgrade our phones, right, to get
Oh.
all the latest features, Metatomics suggests our souls are constantly learning, growing, evolving through these lifetimes.
Oh, okay. So that makes the idea of oversoul a little less out there.
Yeah.
Like it's reaching that ultimate upgrade for your soul, that perfect understanding.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's leveling up for your spirit.
Mhm.
Have you ever felt that kind of pull, like you're reaching for something more? Maybe that's your own personal oversoul journey starting to unfold.
It's definitely a concept that makes you think about the potential of like what our minds can really do. What if we can get to a level of understanding that's way beyond anything we experience day to day?
All right, get ready for a curveball, though. When it comes to how we got here, Metatomics does this whole blend of evolution and creationism.
Yeah.
Never heard it quite like this before.
Yeah,
Remember that not for everyone thing.
right.
This is where it gets interesting.
Instead of seeing them as total opposites, Metatomics is like, well, maybe evolution had a hand in it, but early man, kind of like a first draft. Then Adam and Eve, it's like hitting the reset button, the real deal, the start of humanity as it was meant to be.
But here's where it takes a bit of a dark turn.
Okay.
They introduce this idea of a de-evolutionary period. Basically all the problems we see, the environmental stuff, social unrest, even our tech obsessions, like we're actually in decline from that original perfect state.
It's definitely something to think about, right? Are we actually progressing or are we on a downward spiral? Metatomics really makes you look at where we're headed and ask, is this really what we want?
Okay, brace yourselves, because we're about to get a little paranormal here. Metatomics goes all in on angels, like their whole origin story, their purpose.
Mhm.
It even talks about that whole fall from grace thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've got these roaming souls. Imagine instead of demons, it's just souls who haven't quite moved on yet for whatever reason. And it gets even creepier.
Yeah.
Think about child spirits.
So,
Basically, souls of kids who are stuck. And let's just say, their energy's not always the nicest.
it's a reminder that the spiritual world, at least as Metatomics sees it, it's complicated. Not always sunshine and rainbows.
Definitely not.
But then you've got this idea of dream manipulation. Think like lucid dreaming, but you're in control. You can actually influence your dreams through a higher state of consciousness they call metaconsciousness.
So it's like becoming the director of your own subconscious. We've got souls searching for that upgrade, angels with baggage, and the potential for, well, some not-so-friendly spirits hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
Metatomics paints a pretty wild picture, don't you think?
Yeah.
What's standing out to you so far about all this?
It's,
So we've talked about a lot, souls, angels, even those creepy child spirits.
Yeah.
But here's where Metatomics gets real. It doesn't just talk about the spiritual world. It gets into some intense predictions about, well, the future. Kind of an apocalyptic vibe, to be honest.
Yeah, and it doesn't shy away from specifics. Remember that whole de-evolutionary period thing?
Yeah, humanity on the decline.
Metatomics connects that straight to what a lot of folks would call, the end times. We're talking environmental collapse, societies falling apart, maybe even plagues, like biblical style.
No sugarcoating there. But they don't just say doom and gloom and leave it at that. It's like they're trying to fit these events into something bigger. Like it's not random, but part of some divine plan. A course correction, maybe?
It's definitely a different way of looking at things. It makes you wonder if maybe all the chaos we see, it's not just like, bad luck. Maybe it's a symptom of something deeper being out of whack, spiritually, I mean.
And, As freaky as those predictions are, there's a kind of logic to it. Like when Metatomics talks about how overpopulation, it leads to not enough resources, then social unrest, and bam, even worse, environmental problems.
Right,
It's
it's
like
right.
dominoes. And I think we can all see some of those dominoes already wobbling, right?
Exactly. And this is where Metatomics gets really interesting. It doesn't just say, hey, the end is near and leave you hanging. It's more like it's giving you a framework to make sense of it all. These challenges, they're not just punishments from like an angry God. They're opportunities for growth, for change, for like getting back on track.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So it's like Metatomics is saying, yeah, things might get rough, but it's not game over.
Yeah.
It's more like a wake-up call, right? A chance to figure out what we're really here for and make things right.
Exactly. A message of like taking charge even when it seems like everything's falling apart. We've got choices to make individually and together, and even small acts of, kindness, awareness. Those things matter. They can make a difference.
But gotta be honest, it's hard to think about positive change with this whole empty guff thing looming overhead. I mean, if that wellspring of souls dries up, if there are no more chances to come back, what's the point of even trying?
That's the question that cuts right to the heart of what Metatomics is getting at. But remember, it's all about questioning what we think we know, even about souls, about what it means to exist in the first place.
So are you saying maybe, just maybe, the empty guff?
Huh?
It's not something to fear? Like, what if it's not the end, but just the next stage, our merging back into that source, whatever created us in the first place?
Metatomics definitely hints at that possibility. It's like it's asking us to think bigger than just our linear idea of time and what exists. Maybe death, even on a cosmic level, isn't an ending, but a transformation.
Okay, now that's a serious mind bender.
Yeah.
But it also makes a weird kind of sense with that whole oversoul concept, right?
Yeah.
If the goal is to merge with the divine, achieve that ultimate understanding, then maybe the empty guff is less of a terrifying ending and more like graduation.
Exactly. Like we're all on this spiritual journey, right? And maybe the empty guff, if it happens, is like the culmination, individual consciousness merging back into that universal consciousness.
That's definitely a lot more comforting than the fire and brimstone you usually hear about when people talk end of the world.
Right.
Much more chill.
But Metatomics doesn't shy away from those other ideas either. Like it talks about the rapture, the tribulation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Even dives into different ideas about heaven and hell. It's not like it claims to have all the answers, but it makes you think about those big what-if questions.
I like that it encourages different perspectives.
Yeah.
Even if you're not like super religious, the book's warnings about classification, division, control, that hits home, right? Especially these days.
Absolutely. Metatomics is basically saying this whole thing we do, dividing ourselves up, us versus them, it's at the root of so much suffering.
Yeah, totally. It's like it's saying, hello, we're all connected here, part of the same thing. And when we forget that, when we let ourselves be divided by politics, religion, whatever, that's when things get ugly.
Right. And it doesn't just point fingers outwards either. Metatomics makes you look at your own biases, those little judgments we all make. Are we part of the problem? Something to think about.
Definitely. It's about awareness, taking responsibility, and just being more open and understanding. We could all use a little more of that, right?
For sure. And then there's this whole other layer. Metatomics talks about how our thoughts, even our entertainment, are being manipulated by outside forces. Programming, they call it.
Okay, yeah, that part was a little creepy, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like, how much control do we actually have over our own minds?
Right. Are we really making our own choices, or are we just products of this programming? It makes you think about how much influence media, advertising, even the education system has on us.
And Metatomics seems to think it's a lot. But it's not about freaking out. It's more like, hey, wake up. Start paying attention to what you're letting in. Question everything.
It's about taking back control, becoming more aware of what we're feeding our minds and choosing stuff that actually nourishes us.
And speaking of things we should probably be more mindful of, tech. Metatomics does not hold back. It's like they see our phones and gadgets becoming more of a burden than a help in the future.
Yeah, they're saying our obsession with the next big thing, it's come at a price. We're so busy upgrading our phones, we've forgotten to upgrade ourselves.
Ouch, that's a good point. We've forgotten to cultivate the wisdom and compassion we need to actually handle all this power responsibly.
Right. Metatomics is all about finding balance. Enjoy the cool stuff, but don't let it take over. Use tech for good, for connecting, for creating. Don't let it control you or disconnect you from what really matters.
Because progress without purpose is just running in circles. And speaking of big questions, Metatomics tackles a big one. free will versus determinism. Do we actually have control over our destiny, or are we just along for the ride?
It's the ultimate question.
Right, so what's the Metatomics take?
Metatomics keeps it nuanced. It's not just a yes or no. It's like they're acknowledging there's a plan, a design, but we've got a role to play too. Free will matters. It's a dance, I guess you could say. Divine guidance meets personal choice.
So it's not either, it's both. Like, we've got a map, but we get to choose which roads we take, which detours we explore.
Exactly. Metatomics is saying that freedom to choose, it's a big deal. Our choices, big and small, they ripple outward. They affect everything.
It's like we're not just watching the universe happen, we're helping to create it. And that's both amazing and kind of terrifying at the same time.
Totally. It means we've got a responsibility to choose wisely, to act with compassion, and try to align our own will with, the big plan.
Metatomics definitely doesn't hold back on challenging the status quo. And it gets pretty opinionated about organized religion. Like, what's the point of these institutions if they're not helping make the world a better place?
Yeah, Metatomics calls out churches for being stuck in the past, clinging to rules and traditions that don't really resonate anymore.
It's like they're saying, look, these institutions had their time, but now they're more concerned with holding on to their power than actually guiding people toward genuine spiritual growth.
And it's not just about being stuck. Metatomics suggests that some churches have become part of the problem. Instead of breaking down those walls that divide us, they're reinforcing them.
They're putting more energy into saving souls than into dealing with real-world problems like poverty, injustice, the environment. It's a pretty bold statement.
It is, but it makes you think, what good is spirituality if it's not making a difference in the here and now?
Right. Metatomics is calling for a spirituality that's engaged, relevant, that's about more than just what happens after we die. It's about making the world a better place right now.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that real spirituality isn't confined to a building or a set of rules. It's a force. And it expresses itself through how we live, how we treat each other, how we show up in the world.
So if Metatomics is criticizing organized religion, what's the alternative? What does it offer people who are looking for spiritual growth and connection?
It encourages us to find our own way, something that resonates with us, not just blindly following what we're told.
So it's about taking ownership of our own spiritual journey.
Yeah. It's about looking within, listening to that inner voice, that spark of the divine, however you want to think about it. Metatomics says the answers we're looking for, they're not in some old book or from some authority figure. They come from experience, from connecting with nature, from building a relationship with something bigger than ourselves.
It's a message of hope. Metatomics is saying we have the power to create a more fulfilling, more meaningful life. And it all starts by looking inward.
And get ready for another head scratcher, because Metatomics also challenges what we think we know about time.
Oh, here we go. Time. Is it a river? A flat circle? What's Metatomics say?
It says our whole idea of time is this straight line, this fixed thing. It's an illusion. It's just how our minds make sense of things, not how time actually is.
Okay, so time is fluid.
Exactly. It's connected to our consciousness, to how we experience the world.
Like how they say, time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly. Metatomics suggests that if we change our consciousness, like through meditation or being really present, we can actually change how we experience time.
So it's not just about managing time better. It's about transforming our relationship with it completely.
And get this. Metatomics even talks about a realm beyond time, a place where past, present, and future all exist at once. Eternity.
Okay, now you blow my mind. Eternity. Is that even something we can understand?
Our rational minds? Probably not. But Metatomics says our hearts, our souls, they get it. And we can get glimpses of that timeless realm through things like deep meditation, mystical experiences, even near-death experiences.
So it's about tapping into that part of ourselves that's not bound by our normal perception of time to catch a glimpse of something bigger.
Exactly. Metatomics encourages us to explore those expanded states of being, to catch a glimpse of eternity.
I'm in, even if it means ditching my watch.
And as if that wasn't enough, Metatomics also challenges our whole concept of truth.
Okay, lay it on me. What's truth?
Well, get ready to question everything, because Metatomics says truth. It's not always some fixed objective thing. It can be relative, subjective, even paradoxical.
Wait, hold up. Are you saying there's no such thing as truth?
Metatomics doesn't say that exactly, but it argues that what we believe is true is often influenced by our own personal baggage. Our experiences, our beliefs, our culture, even just how our senses work.
So what's true for me might not be true for you.
Exactly. Metatomics challenges us to be more open-minded, to question our assumptions, and be willing to see things from other perspectives.
It's about having a little humility, being curious, and being open to dialogue, even when we don't agree.
Metatomics suggests that embracing this idea of multiple truths can lead us to a much richer, more nuanced understanding of the world.
And maybe even make us more compassionate along the way.
Absolutely. But Metatomics doesn't stop there. It says there are some truths our rational minds just can't grasp. Mysteries we can only understand through intuition, revelation, direct experience.
So it's not just about logic and facts, but about trusting our gut, our intuition.
Exactly. Metatomics reminds us that the universe is vast, full of mystery, and we're just scratching the surface. We've got to be open to things that challenge our understanding.
And on a slightly less cosmic level, Metatomics also talks about the importance of finding balance in our everyday lives.
It's not just about finding balance within ourselves, but recognizing that balance is woven into the fabric of reality itself.
Okay, I like where this is going. So it's that classic yin and yang idea. Light and shadow, masculine and feminine, all those opposing forces. They're not enemies, they're dance partners.
Exactly. And Metatomics suggests that when we understand and embrace this idea of balance, when we live in harmony with the natural rhythms of life, we tap into a deeper level of peace, well-being, and fulfillment.
It's about understanding that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves.
And that leads us to another big one, consciousness.
Okay, we're really getting into the deep stuff now. So what does Metatomics say about consciousness? Is it all in our heads, or is there something more?
Get ready for this. Metatomics proposes that consciousness isn't just a product of the brain, it's a fundamental aspect of reality itself.
Whoa, okay. So instead of consciousness coming from matter, it's more like matter comes from consciousness.
Exactly. Metatomics suggests that consciousness is the source of everything. It's the ground of being, the underlying energy that permeates all of creation.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So if consciousness is fundamental, does that mean we're all connected? Like, is there some kind of cosmic internet linking us all together?
That's exactly what Metatomics is suggesting. It says we're not isolated individuals, but interconnected beings, sharing a field of awareness that transcends time and space. It even suggests our thoughts, feelings, and intentions can influence one another, even from a distance.
So we're all part of a global mind, a giant web of consciousness.
You got it. And as we evolve, both individually and collectively, we're becoming more aware of this interconnectedness, more tuned in to the subtle energies that link us all.
It's a beautiful idea and kind of a reassuring one, too, don't you think? Especially with everything going on in the world right now, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the negativity. But if we're all connected, then maybe there's hope.
Exactly. Metatomics offers a message of hope. It suggests that as we awaken to this interconnectedness, we can begin to heal the divisions that separate us, find solutions to global challenges, and create a better future for everyone.
It's a powerful reminder that we're not alone, that we have the power to make a difference, not through force or control, but through love, compassion, and simply recognizing our shared humanity.
And speaking of big concepts, Metatomics also dives into the nature of truth. Get ready for this. It says that truth, while it's not always this fixed, absolute thing like we often assume, Metatomics argues that truth can be relative, it can be subjective, and get this, it can even be paradoxical.
Wait, slow down a second. Are you saying there's no such thing as actual truth?
Metatomics doesn't go that far. But it does make the point that what we believe is true, what we think is true, it's often colored by, well, our own personal lens, right? Our experiences, our beliefs, the culture we come from, even just how our senses work, all that plays a part.
So what might be true for me might not be true for you.
Exactly. Metatomics challenges us to be open to different perspectives, to question what we think we know, and to be willing to see things through different eyes, even if we don't agree.
So it's about staying humble, staying curious, and being willing to have those tough conversations where we might not see eye to eye.
Right. Metatomics suggests that embracing this idea of multiple truths, it can actually lead to a richer, deeper, and maybe even a kinder way of looking at the world.
It's like that saying, walk a mile in someone else's shoes.
Exactly. But it doesn't stop there. Metatomics also says there are some truths that our logical minds just weren't built to grasp. These mysteries we can only begin to understand through our intuition, through revelation, through direct experience.
So it's not just about logic and facts, We've got to trust our gut, that inner voice, too.
Exactly. Metatomics reminds us that the universe is vast, full of mystery and wonder, and we're just scratching the surface. We've got to be open to the things that challenge our understanding, things that might seem strange or illogical at first.
And on a slightly less cosmic level, Metatomics also talks about finding balance in our everyday lives.
It's not just about finding balance within ourselves, but about recognizing that balance is woven into the fabric of reality itself.
Okay, I like where this is going. So it's that classic yin and yang idea, right? Light and shadow, masculine and feminine, all those seeming opposites, they're not enemies, they're more like dance partners.
Exactly. And metatomics suggests that when we understand and embrace this concept of balance, when we strive to live in harmony with the natural rhythms and cycles of life, well, we tap into a deeper sense of peace, well-being, and fulfillment.
It's about recognizing that we're all part of something so much bigger than ourselves.
And as we evolve, both individually and collectively, we become more aware of this interconnectedness, more tuned in to the subtle energies that link us all.
It's a beautiful thought, and honestly kind of a reassuring one too, especially with all the craziness in the world right now. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the negativity, but if we're all connected, then maybe there's hope.
Exactly. Metatomics offers a message of hope. It suggests that as we wake up to this interconnectedness, we can begin to heal the divisions that separate us, find solutions to global challenges, and create a brighter future for everyone.
It's a powerful reminder that we're not alone, that we have the power to make a difference, not through force or control, but through love, compassion, and recognizing our shared humanity. And that seems like a pretty good message to end on, don't you think?
Couldn't agree more. Metatomics is a wild ride, full of big ideas, but at its heart, it's a call to awaken to our true potential, to embrace connection, and to live with greater purpose, compassion, and awareness.
Well said. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us into Metatomics, the grand design. We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to keep exploring these fascinating ideas.